All right. Going back to talking about the religious exemption war that we had a couple years ago and that we're still in now. Our next speaker is the godmother of the religious exemption wars in New York. She's been fighting this battle to protect all of us and our kids for at least 15 years. Currently, she is the, Vice President? Vice President of Children's Health Defense New York. She's the founder of My Kids, My Choice. The absolute expert in the state of New York on religious exemption and religious rights, Rita Palma.
Thank you so much for being here today. It's a beautiful day. Okay, before I go into a more lengthy explanation of what I do and what you can do, I want everybody to just take a picture of what I've written down on this sign, my website, mykidsmychoice.com. It will come in handy to you or somebody that you care about. Okay, so let's get that out of the way right off the bat, mykidsmychoice.com. Is anybody keeping track of all the lies we've been told over the past 18 months? How many are we up to? It's too many to count. Okay, the biggest lie that I'm focusing in on today is the fact that we don't have the religious exemption anymore. Kathy Hochul took it away. De Blasio says that you don't get to file a religious exemption in order to keep your job. It's all a bunch of lies. And understand that you are protected by both federal and state law. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, guess what, has not gone away. That is still there to protect you from religious discrimination in the workplace. Additionally, in New York State, and every state has one, we have an additional statute, New York State Executive Human Rights Law, Article 15, Section 291. That is an additional layer of protection from religious discrimination in the workplace. I have those two laws on my website. In addition to that, I have laid out clear and very detailed instructions on how you can file a legally sufficient religious exemption letter to your employer, to your college, to Starbucks if you have to get in for a lousy cup of coffee. So everybody here should write a religious exemption, because we're going to need to carry these things in our pockets for a while until they drop the charade and until we get back to reality in America. And we will. We will land on our feet. Freedom will win. The Constitution will win. The cloud of lies will clear, and we'll get back to what we used to consider normal and everybody thought was crazy back then, but it's really been crazy for the past 18 months. I'd like to give you a summary of what's on the website and the instructions that you'll get. Okay, most people think when they talk to me about a religious exemption, wait a minute, I haven't gone to church in 6 years, it's not a tenet of my faith, that prohibits vaccinations. You don't need to adhere to any of that. New York State and the national recognized standard is a personal religious belief. So however your Word of God translates to you, compelling you to refuse vaccines, whether it be you believe that it betrays your faith in God, you honor one God, the healing God, the all-powerful God, who has the ultimate healing power, and you can't hedge your bets with vaccines. That's theme number one, okay? Betrayal of faith is your most broad opportunity to talk about why you think you're cheating behind God's back to accept these vaccines. Number two, the sanctity of the blood. If you've ever seen the vaccine ingredients, who's looked at the vaccine ingredients? Okay, 3.5 pages of super nasty. I have them on my website a couple of different times. You can go through them. There's all kinds of things that you can't pronounce. They are foreign components. They are not necessarily toxic or poisonous. Don't use those words in your religious exemption. But they do violate the blood, and blood is life in the Catholic religion. In other religions, blood represents other things. Go to how you were raised. and figure out what your religious translation is, be it Buddhism, be it Muslim, be it Jewish. It doesn't matter. Every religion fits in the religious exemption process because guess what? In America, every religion is welcome. There is no official religion in the United States, and there never will be. And if there is, then it's the end of our country, and our country isn't ending anytime soon. The third thing that you can talk about is sanctity of life. Each and every vaccine, somehow or other, uses aborted fetal tissue in the manufacture, in the research, in the development, in the commerce and the trade of their vaccines. If you oppose abortion on religious grounds, use the aborted fetal tissue argument in your letter. So, expound and elaborate, I would say go to 5 or 8 pages in your letters. My website has a summary of the themes, also helpful links to offer you solid information from mainstream sources, backing up your claims that aborted fetal tissue is used in the manufacture of vaccines, etc., and so forth. Share My Kids, My Choice with your friends, with your family, for anybody who's afraid of having their life limited, their education limited, their freedom limited, and carry this with you all the time. We also do workshops, Zoom workshops every so often. Please go to the website. I update it as much as I can. Sorry? Oh, sure. MyKidsMyChoice.com. And dovetailing on Aaron Lewis's statement that we're not alone, I'm small potatoes in this movement. I'm not known really outside of New York. Last month, I got 222,000 hits on my website. This is a national problem. All the information is there for you. It is all free. It is all accessible. I don't want any obstacles to anybody out there looking to refuse these nasty things because they don't know that they have this right. Now, some people say, hey, why do I have to file an 8-page religious exemption to refuse a medical procedure? And you'd be absolutely right. What we need to move this conversation forward is in the direction of informed consent. I have a right to know. I know what I know, and I have a right to refuse these based on whatever the heck I want. We shouldn't be quizzed about our religious beliefs. What about atheists? Don't they have a right over dominion over their body? Of course they do. So folks, get this conversation started. It's exactly the people who've gathered here today who will control the societal conversation moving in a whole different direction. Yes, we protect the religious exemption. Yes, we file our religious exemptions. But ultimately, and it's better be soon, we need to be an opt-in society. Don't call me, Doc. I'll call you. Thank you very much. Thank you, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Rita Palma. Again, if you didn't catch it before, that's at My Kids, My Choice. All right.